Hello and welcome to Hockey Hypothetical, serious answers to silly questions. Each episode we'll be taking preposterous scenarios that we've made up from the world of hockey and trying to produce genuine responses to the what-if questions. My name is Jonathan Fernley, I'm here with Stephen Dowson, and Douse, here's our first Hockey Hypothetical.
Okie dokie.
How tall is too tall to be a hockey player?
Well, how big's Zdeno Chara?
6'9".
I mean, he's very tall, isn't he?
He's very tall and he's very good.
He's very good.
So it wouldn't be a problem if he was an inch taller. That wouldn't stop him being as good as he is.
How big was Andre the Giant? Well, actually, you never found out how big Andre the Giant was. He never got properly measured. So
probably because he wasn't as big as you thought.
He was definitely pretty big.
He was definitely big. He may have been a 7-footer.
Well, he was, but we don't know if he was 7'4", 7'2". He was once billed, I think, as 7'5", which I don't think is true.
Yeah, there are plenty of 7-foot basketballers.
Yeah.
There's a 7-foot cricketer.
Yeah.
And as a pace bowler, that's frightening.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Yeah. But Zdeno Chara wouldn't be that much worse if he was an inch taller.
No.
So how many inches do you have to add before his head's too far away from the ice? I think he's allowed an extra long stick.
I was about to say, surely it's equipment.
There is I believe there's a limit on the length of stick you're allowed.
Right.
But because he's exceptionally tall,
because
they
he's
can
really
make
tall.
an exception. What they don't want is an average height player with a massive stick, like with a didgeridoo.
Yeah.
You know, that's too long. Your poke check is too devastating.
Well, isn't that the problem? Or is that not an advantage? I don't know. Is it a problem? Is it an advantage? Because, like, if you're let's say you're 7'3", 7'4", you know, I'm thinking proper WWE tall bastards now, you know, really, really tall people. Like, they've got the wingspan plus the stick length. You know, they could poke check you in your neutral zone. It's going to be amazing.
But is your control of the puck on the end of that stick going to be as good from as far away you are?
Is it the old good touch for a big lad kind of thing?
Sort of, yeah.
Also, I mean, Zdeno Chara is very, very good, but I wonder how many really, really tall players are just rubbish. Do you see what I mean? I wonder if he's the exception rather than the rule.
So you're saying there's no maximum height as long as they were good?
Well, I mean, I think that's the same for anything. But, like, in basketball, they all average out at being tall because being tall has an advantage. Whereas there are tall hockey players, don't get me wrong, but he's really tall. And maybe being too tall is actually a disadvantage because, you know, you've got to get low into the... I mean, how many times would you check somebody and it's a hit to the head?
Now there's a good point.
You know what I mean?
That is the first thing that's... Because he's a defenseman.
Yes.
So any forward skating at him that is under 6 feet, his head's going to be at shoulder height.
Yeah.
Thus making it very difficult for...
Like, his knees are going to be wrecked by the end of every game because he's going to have to come in so low to hit anybody. So I think Zdeno Chara is almost too tall.
But he's obviously not too tall because he's playing the game to an incredibly high standard.
But he's also very, very good.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is we don't have a league full of tall guys like in basketball. So because there's no obvious advantage, and it may be a disadvantage that he's so big.
It possibly is. Yeah. There's probably a maximum height at which that's tall enough.
How big is Dustin Byfuglien? He's another tall chap. And I think
he's large. I don't think he's especially tall.
Or is he just large? Does he just look like somebody who enjoys a hamburger?
He's big buff, isn't he? He does enjoy. We all enjoy hamburgers. That's not necessarily a problem.
He does, though.
Well, yeah.
There's a great clip of Byfuglien going in and just dragging 2 opposing players away from a dog pile. He's just a real human when it comes to strength on the ice. Do you see what I mean? But, like, the league doesn't have a lot of tall play. I mean, they do. Go on.
No, I thought
you were looking at it.
I am currently looking it up, for Dustin Byfuglien. But if you heard that your Elite League team had signed a player who was 7 foot tall, is your initial reaction thinking, wow, they're going to be a wrecking ball?
Well, you'd think that,
oh my
wouldn't you?
word, they're going to be a liability?
can't help but come back on this from a wrestling point of view. Yeah,
Dustin Bufflin's 6'5".
So I think that's
18.5 stone.
Good lord,
120 kilograms.
I think 6'5" is about there, because on a short player, you're not going to be hitting them to the head every time. But also you can get low. I mean, there's no advantage in being tall in the NHL, because once you're higher than the goalpost, you're useless, aren't you? Essentially, anything above there isn't really doing anything for you.
Are the goalposts 4 feet tall?
Yeah, I'm saying anything above there is a waste of head. You know what I mean? But you know what I'm saying? If once you're past that kind of height, anything above that, you can't really use it to block. So you're going to have to come down and block. You have to use your face and your chest. You're going to have to come down. And the taller you are, the longer it's going to take you to come down, unless you've got tree trunks for legs. You know what I mean?
You're going to need a low centre of gravity as well.
Very low centre of gravity.
Which is going to be difficult if you're that tall.
Yes.
You're going to need massive legs.
Yeah.
Which you'd think would impact on your ability to be mobile.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering whether Zdeno Chara is the exception rather than the rule, because there are lots of tall people. There are lots of people Zdeno's height, but they're not. We don't have lots of them in the league. Whereas there's loads of tall people in the NBA, because they figured out, actually, that's very advantageous to be tall. Stewart, for the formerly of the Blaze.
Brian Stewart.
Yeah.
He was 6'5", I believe.
6'5". And he had to basically readapt his game because he got so tall. So he always sat in the lowest he possibly could in the butterfly. Now, the great thing is, he could go post to post in just one spread, as it were. You know, he just had to sit down. But all that other upper body weight was wasted, and he had to spend so much time working on his back. Because I've never seen a netminder have to be so hunched.
Every break in play was a lie down.
Yeah.
But it was a stretch.
It was a stretch.
It looked weird the first time you saw it, then you realise he has to do this.
Because he's having to come so low. So I'm thinking that you can overcome height, but I don't think it's the advantage that people think it is in the league. Do you see what I mean? Like the greatest players aren't the tallest players, and we're not full of them. And if it was such an advantage, we'd have more. Do you see what I mean? And like, if you take football as another example, like when we see really tall players like Peter Crouch, the first thing you think of, I bet his touch is rubbish. And he has to work hard to say otherwise.
We've been thinking hockey here.
Yes.
We've been thinking skill, we've been thinking poach, we've been thinking hitting.
Yes.
Surely there's no problem with a 7-foot goon. Who's winning?
I was an enforcer.
Who's winning a fight against someone who can literally put their hand on your forehead and keep you away?
Well, going again, a smaller guy who's quicker than you can knock. You know, I mean, height doesn't really do you that much.
But think of
wingspan is the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I was trying to think of that giant Russian boxer that David Haybutt fought and beat. Nikolai Valuev. He was a 7-footer.
Yeah.
And Hay could just out body shot him.
Yeah.
Move quickly, jab to the kidneys.
Yeah.
And he won the fight. He didn't knock him out, but you can technically outbox him. A punch to the kidneys ain't going to do anything when you got padding on.
That's true.
The only exposed area you can punch is the face.
However, you are
so if
right.
you can't reach the face
of a
7-foot enforcer,
true. But
is that the ideal height for an enforcer then?
But then you are ripe for an uppercut then, aren't you? You know what I mean? If your chin is just a good swing away, I think you're in trouble. I don't know, because then surely we would see more enforcers just be... Because normally enforcers tend to be about 6'1", 6'2", you know?
Valuev's going to struggle to skate.
Has he ever tried? You know?
As a Russian, he probably has.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a limit to anything else they can do. You're spending an entire roster space on someone who can do nothing other than be unhittable. Or unpunchable, I should say.
Yeah. And, we've done worse in the past. Yeah, in hockey. But... I would say, like, if we're looking for optimum height, you're looking at around about 6'2", 6'5", maybe. You know,
okay,
something like that. I mean, 6 foot is good. And then for netminders, I think I don't know if there is an optimum size in netminders because they always tend to be smaller.
Well, I'm going to flip this round then.
Okay,
and say what is the shortest a player can be and still be effective. Because I was looking at this earlier. Yeah. The shortest ever NHL netminder was 5'3". Now, we think now that goalies are getting bigger.
Yes, they are.
As they drop to the butterfly, they can cover more space.
5'3".
5'3", yeah.
Okay, that's probably tiny.
Anybody
who is 5'3", I apologise.
Yeah, nicknamed the Shrimp, Roy Waters or Woters.
Oh, what era is this from?
The 20s and the 30s.
Yeah, it had to be, didn't it?
66 shutouts, 2.27 goals against.
Pretty good.
Guy could play. Hall of Famer.
Well, that's why it was called the Shrimp.
He's 5'3". People on average were shorter then.
Yeah.
So it's not quite. It's still short.
Well, netminders tend to be a bit shorter, don't they?
But we're going away from that now.
Yeah, we are.
If you're going to get a goalie, you want a big body goalie.
Because they can all sit in the butterfly and that covers the bottom of the post. Yeah.
So the shortest player in the NHL at the moment is 5'5". There are a few 5'6", plenty of 5'7". You can get, top class players at that height.
Yeah.
You're not going to get an enforcer who's 5'3".
No.
But surely you could get someone who is supremely skilled to be that height.
Well,
but there's no question you
Mosenko wasn't a tall lad, was he?
No, but he wasn't particularly short. Jeff McGuee wasn't particularly tall.
No.
But again,
is that too short? I don't know.
At what point does your body become so small that the skill you have is rendered useless by the fact that any opposition defenseman can just knock you out of the way?
Yeah, I think it's all about strength rather than height, then, isn't it?
So if you've got a 5 foot tall, 5 foot nothing,
yeah,
built like a bowling ball,
yeah,
but skilled,
yeah,
do you have enough strength to resist the 6'2" defenseman we think is ideal coming in trying to check you and not hitting you in the head?
To almost answer that, we've had brutes come in who have been 6'4" tall guys, and you're going, oh, he's gonna have load strength, and they've just been leaves. That you've been able to push over.
Yeah, just because someone's big doesn't mean their game is based on hitting.
Yeah, I think the danger that player has, any player that's very short, like in the 5 foot area. Again, if you are 5 foot, I'm not saying you're short. I'm just saying in the hockey world you would be. The massive danger you have is head injuries. You're almost too short from a safety point of view because, well, goalpost is 4 foot. So it's not having to go too much higher over the post to be aiming straight for your face. Any check along the boards, again, if you're 5 foot and your opponent's 6 foot, that's a chest to the head to the board kind of scenario. Most checks are going to be towards your head area, regardless of if you mean to or not. I mean, the amount of times we've seen a hit and we've gone, oh, he's leaned into it, or he's dropped down. Well, that's your permanent state of height. I don't think you're going to be able to play from a physical point of view because of the nature of the game. Means that checks work better when the opponents are about the same size.
Well, the 5'5" players in the NHL have made it.
Yeah.
And are obviously surviving.
Yeah.
And doing okay, given that they're playing up against defensemen of, Bufflin's height, foot taller than them.
Yeah.
So, is that the limit then? Can we go down to 5'2"? Given that not everyone's a Dustin Bufflin.
Yeah, that's true.
You're going to get your 6 footers, your 6'1", 6'2s. You can be a foot shorter than that.
I mean, Kieran Brown's still growing, isn't he?
He's not short, though.
I know, but at one point, he must have had that moment where he wasn't as tall as he is now, and maybe was he as effective. But he was playing against kids his own age who were a similar height. The only real-world example I can give you here is when you watch 12-year-old hockey players, and you get, especially if it's mixed, and you get 12-year-old girls who are 5'8", and you get 12
get a 5'8" 12-year-old girl.
Well, you know what I mean.
That's exceptionally tall.
Well, you know what I mean. But she's
might be more likely to be 4'8" at that age.
Well, but she's gone for the growth spurt, and she's now quite tall.
Okay.
And then you've got 12-year-old boys who haven't had the growth spurt yet, who are 4 foot, and you can just see the difference in how they can play, and just how physically, not just in terms of strength, but just how ineffective wings. They can't get to anything. You can keep their hand away. I think if you're hitting 5'1", 5'2", there's no way you're going to be able to interact. You can't put your arm around a player. It's just going to be a bit awkward, isn't it?
So, are we coming up on then a sort of a limit of being about a foot shorter than the average player?
Yeah, I don't like that, but because it means me and you are dangerously close to not being able to.
I'm not making the NHL for many, many reasons. As I've said in previous episodes, I can only skate forwards, so I'm not a lot of use. 5'5". But there's a possibility that if I was a bit shorter 5'3", I just wouldn't get that